Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to our latest Assembly webinar. I'm very excited to have you. My name is Brian Billig. I am the head of customer education here at Assembly Software. And today things are going to be a little bit more interesting. I usually only get to do like new feature demos and stuff. Today, we're going to go deeper into what they didn't teach you in law school. So before I introduce my amazing co-host and we dive in, a quick bit of housekeeping. Welcome to a Zoom webinar. I am sure you are Zoom webinar experts. Today, we're going to try and keep our webinar less than an hour, less than 60 minutes. If we get you out of here in 45 or 50, I'm going to consider that a win. There is a Q&A panel down at the bottom. So if you have any questions, that's the way to interact with us. We're going to try and save the questions for the end. I'm going to keep an eye on the questions, and if there's something that just really nails the subject that we're talking about at that moment, I may pull it out, but otherwise we're going to try and reserve that time to answer as many questions at the end as we can. We are recording today's webinar, so you are warned. It is being recorded, and afterwards we will edit it down and provide a copy to the folks that registered in case you need to share it with somebody else at your law firm or somebody wasn't able to join us live. They can catch the rebroadcast, as it were. All right. So, housekeeping completed. It's time to dive in. I'm really excited to announce our host today. She is one of the co-founders of the Circle Management Group. This is an entity that has been helping law firms all over the country with a wide variety of needs. And I've only known her a little bit myself, but am wildly intimidated by her incredible knowledge in the legal space. So Laura Kennedy, hello. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. Wow, what an introduction. Hope I live up to all that expectation setting you just did.
I am a natural cheerleader. I can't help it. I know how important what you have to share is going to be for our audience today. So I'm excited to let you dive in and get to it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we will talk about what we're going to talk about today. So first off, the purpose of this webinar is to help you as lawyers fill the gap and concentrate on you as a law firm owner. They don't teach you how to run a law firm when you're in law school. They want you to be a great lawyer. So these essentials are things that we as consultants and business professionals in the legal tech space can work with you to achieve some skill sets so that you can concentrate on being an amazing attorney. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit around some remote law firm considerations. Most people are at some level of hybrid or working remotely still. And so we were going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some investments in your tech, some investments in your clients, some investments in your talent, your digital presence, and your financial wellness. And then we have a bonus focus because Brian is actually going to show you a little bit of what NEOS can do for you in a case management scenario. Then we'll open it up to a little bit of Q&A. All right. So one thing I want to mention before we get started is that technology alone is never going to be enough. Technology can help you, but it's a tool. And as we move forward, there's a lot of things that are going to be impacting how technology is being used in today's environment. And some of the things that are impacting how we are functioning inside of the year 2024 extends into globalization, beyond social media to digital influence marketing, reputation management, and a big focus on your branding. The remote workers are on the rise, and now it's normalized. The talent pool is exponentially larger because we're not bound by any geography boundaries or any state lines or things like that. So we have a lot of flexibility today in attracting and retaining talent. Another big change in values too is that technology can either bridge the gap between our different generations, between the boomers and the Gen Zers, or it can cause more conflict because Gen Zers see technology very differently than the boomers do. So we are in a place right now where generationally we see different work arrangements, work-life balance issues, how technology impacts society is very present. And there is a lot of money in technology right now with venture capitalists and things like that. So there's a lot of things happening that are affecting those priorities. And then we see clients. Clients just generally are demanding transparency and fees. They want convenience. They want 24/7 communication. And they want all of us, consultants and lawyers and anyone who is offering some type of service, to keep the costs down, to improve efficiency. So we're seeing all these things happening, and all of these undercurrents are really shaping how things are happening. So as we get into our first conversation, it's really going to be around remote law firms and what considerations do we have to have for managing remote workers, managing remote law firms. And there's really two kinds of remote law firms today. There's those that are fully virtual, where there is no office, everybody works remotely, everybody has virtual workstations and virtual conversations, and people get together maybe once or twice a year, have dinner, have a retreat, something like that. Then there's the hybrid law firms. And I saw an interesting article I think it was just last night, around the Gen X generation, where the Gen X generation is either fully in the office primarily or fully virtual. Gen Xers don't really want to work hybrid. They need the consistency apparently between one or the other. So
I feel that. I feel that. I like a plan in the morning.
Exactly. And the Gen Z generation is really hybrid. They want to work from home, they want the flexibility, but they also need to have the social piece of it. So there's just a lot of things that as a manager or business owner you've got to keep in mind as you're working with these different personalities and these different people in the firm. Some of those key considerations are the tech stack. So technology, as I said, is a piece. Your clients, your profitability, your security, your reputation, and your employees. These are just the key things. There's about a million other things you have to think of every day as a business owner. But, they generally, one of these buckets is going to be how business owners spend their day. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is the technology and the tech stack. So there's a few things that are happening in legal tech investments today from a 30,000-foot view. The money for legal technology is happening around cloud native solutions. So those products that are cloud native, built in the cloud, built for the cloud, based in the cloud, are the big focus right now. There's a lot of products right now that have been lifted up into the cloud. And so they're available to you on different types of technology, but the big focus is on cloud native. The second one we've heard tons and tons about in every single talking point, every technology webinar, which is artificial intelligence, generative AI. How are we going to use it? What are we going to do with it? And so that's another area where people are looking at.
That was my webinar last week.
Yep, of course.
Definitely the topic of the day.
Absolutely. And not just, wow, here's ChatGPT, but really, how are we going to use it to make our lives better? Can we use it in legal technology like we can on our phones when we talk to Siri? Can it be that easy? So we have that piece of it. Then we have blockchain technology, which is really running around in the financial world right now to try to keep financial transactions safer. And we have automation, which is going to be a key element in a lot of these programs, hooking into artificial AI, working with automation inside of the platforms to be able to help you do your work. Then there's data analytics and visualization, which are things like dashboards and pivot charts and tables and things like that, and being able to have information proactively given to you as opposed to you not necessarily always having to run a report. So there's the proactive giving of information, then there's a reactive reporting of information. So really being able to proactively see what's happening, where are your billable hours, where's your revenue, what's your income and statement look like today, all of those types of things are where data analytics come in. Then there's virtual reality, the big new headsets that are out there, and there's augmented reality, both of which are now existing in our courtrooms. We have augmented reality when you have people being able to show what happened in a crime scene based on evidence and create a story by actually creating people and situations based on what they're seeing as part of what's happening in the world today. So you have that, and then there's the virtual reality where you can actually simulate something and see it through VR headsets and things like that. Then we have virtual legal assistants. A lot of firms are getting virtual receptionists, virtual assistants, not just technical ones like AI note takers, but virtual people who do nothing but answer the phone, take messages, do that sort of stuff. So there's two sides to that. We also have a big push in using tools in legal management, legal technology to manage cases that were previously kind of left into the project management space that have become really, really prevalent today in task management, document assembly, just gathering data, using data, things like that. Which feeds into the knowledge management, which is all of your firm's information, your warehouse of knowledge. How have you solved cases? What type of questions do you ask to prepare for a deposition? How do you prepare your evidence for trial? How are you tracking which documents are ones that you want to bring in, which ones are not, which ones are relevant, which ones are not? That type of information is all the firm's knowledge. Then it extends into how do you solve the cases, which mediators are better for you, which arbitrators are more amenable to your arguments. That type of stuff is the firm's knowledge management as well. All of which at the foundation of it and today has to include a plan for cybersecurity, data governance, and data privacy. That is going to be the foundation of every single decision that a law firm has to make today. So those are where the investments are happening. All right.
That is a lot of technology to consider.
It is a lot, but we're just going to kind of cut it down to just a few. So all of that stuff affects your environment, your infrastructure, your data, your applications, and your security. So your data is your computers, or your environment is your computers, your hardware, your network, your infrastructure all kind of falls in line here. Your data is everything that you're tracking within what applications and how secure are you making that for yourself and for your clients. So from an application standpoint, which is part of what we're really focusing in on today a little bit, is what applications does the law firm have to have? And first and foremost, above all else, there should be some type of practice case management software. A lot of them today are going to include components for time and billing. A lot of them may include components for trust accounting. Some of them may even extend out into the financial accounting or the document and email management, communications management. The practice management is the house, and all these other components are the rooms. So you really need to have a house that you can go into and you can find tools and information around all of these other components. Then you add in e-discovery, marketing and lead management, or CRMs, collaboration software such as Teams and things like that, and then specialized applications that you all use depending on your type of law, to create wills or trusts or estates, or figure out child support calculators and all that sort of stuff that you need to function or would be in those specialized applications.
I like your house metaphor, and I want to take it a step further in saying that a lot of times people get focused, really focused on like one particular room. Like this is their thing, it's that room. But when looking at, big law firm applications, especially in the practice and case management space, you do need to look at the house as a whole,
Right.
understand not just the individual rooms, but how the whole fits together and how it looks from the outside. When you take a step back and look at that big picture view, who built this house? How long is this house going to last you? And then does it have your individual needs, or, can it adapt to your needs?
Right, right. But some of us do get kind of focused in on the color of the carpet, the color of the paint. Be fair, Brian.
You are absolutely true. The color of the carpet is a weakness of mine. As you can see, my whole room is gray.
All right. So when it comes to an investment and what keys could I give you about investing in the right technologies is you want to look for tools that were going to give you the ability to automate. You want tools that are going to give you the ability to integrate because you do have those other applications and you don't want to have to put things in more than one time. So you need to find things that will integrate with your technologies that already exist or that maybe you got to go build a new house or go buy a new house because your house is just too small or you're just not in the right space anymore. So you may need to look at things that are going to be cloud-based and you need to modernize. And then you need to make sure without a doubt that that tool has got some high level of security and encryption to protect your investment. And then you're going to have to embrace it because artificial intelligence is the future of legal technology. So we do have to just embrace the fact that it's there. Doesn't mean that we have to go out and jump on the AI bandwagon and download ChatGPT and start asking it to write us poems, but it does mean that you have to look to the future and ask yourself, how can we use it? How is it going to work? I hear the same things about AI now that we heard about the cloud 10 years ago. This is the future, and this is where we're headed. And we need to take it slow, we need to take it easy, and we need to do it with modernization, protection, integration, and automation. All right. Just a thought as I close out this particular part of the conversation, and that is that these firms that have leaders who view their tech stack, both the internal tech stack that they're using to run their business and the ones that they're showing to their clients, is essential to the growth of the business, essential to the long-term health of the business and the success of the business. It is as important to all of these elements of the business as the people that work in the business and the strategy of the firm. So that being said, I will repeat this as many times as possible in this presentation. Technology is an investment. It is not an expense. You get something out of an investment where an expense is just an expense. So an investment is going to have a return. And we're going to see throughout this presentation, especially when Brian gets into his really cool part about how you get a return on your money when you view it as an investment and you work it like an investment.
And this has to be led from the front. Like you're talking about leaders here.
Yes.
If you are a leader at your law firm, if you're a managing partner, or if you're the office administrator, the technology needs to be pushed by you to the rest of the staff. You can't just dump something on your staff and expect it to be adopted fully. It's up to you to make sure you get that return.
100%. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your clients and client satisfaction. The 10 technology impacts today that really are prevalent in high client satisfaction, whether it's from surveys that vendors have created and put together or whatever it is that you're looking for. These are the areas of investment where clients are more satisfied than less satisfied across the board. Document automation, you being able to do your documents, create your documents, prepare your documents faster and with less errors. Document automation. The less errors part is super important. If you are still going and finding a copy of a document that you prepared for Joe Smith back in 2008, and your paralegals and legal assistants are going in and doing finds and replaces, your error load, your probability that there's going to be an error in that document is really, really high. So using your technology and your databases to do document automation is pushing firms ahead of each other in that arena. The client portals, having a safe place for your clients to go and upload documents to you, pay their bills, get some information, be able to communicate with you. Client portals are happening, and they're effectively being used by the more efficient firms today. Paperless billing. We all have those clients that are not going to really want to get their bills by email. We have those. But really, I think the majority of people today do have an email address and do know how to pay credit cards online. So I think we really need to work towards getting their bills in front of them. It helps improve your accounts receivable issues if you have them. People will click and pay a credit card with their credit card a lot faster than it's going to take them to write out a check and put it in the mail today. So it improves your cash flow all the way around. Secure text messaging, being able to be where your clients are. Your clients are going to be more and more on their phones, and they text, and they like to text. We get text messages from our clients, and we need to have a way to offer our clients a secure way to text message us information, whether it's a link to something that they need me to look at, or sometimes they need to send me a code for something. I mean, just being able to send that quick, secure text messaging communications back and forth. Online help and forms. I go on them all the time, whether it's for a vendor or if I'm trying to communicate with my attorney. I want to be able to go in there and send them a message at 11 o'clock at night. I don't necessarily expect them to respond to me, but I remember to do things at 11 o'clock at night. So hopping on their website, sending a message via a form, knowing that they're going to respond to me in the morning is helpful. Being able to make those online payments, being able to send out automated emails for reminders for appointments, reminders that they've got a court appearance, reminders about a hearing, being able to have an app on my cell phone to deal with the client calling, so that I don't have to deal with messages. I would rather just talk to somebody than have to return a message. So being able to have my work phone on my cell phone is great. Automating those intakes. We all have to gather information about our clients. Why do we have to put that in again after they've already done it once? So let's get those intakes automated so they do some of the work our staff has to do while only putting it in one time. Reputation management, managing those Google reviews, making sure that we are doing good work and getting those positive ratings. All of those are things that impact client satisfaction. So where do we see our client investments? In communication, proactive, transparent communication. You should also be paying attention to social media. Paying attention to what your clients are seeing on social media. It's a big impact these days. We got a lot of conversation right now about the concern that we have around our kids and social media. I've got clients who monitor their clients' social media just to be sure that it doesn't disrupt their court cases that they have.
Absolutely.
The convenience. People will choose convenience over brand every day of the week. It's not just in your law firm. What do you do when you're ordering Uber Eats or DoorDash or doing all these things? You're choosing convenience over brand. If your favorite Mexican restaurant is closed, you don't feel like going out to a Mexican restaurant, your loyalty stops there. You're going to go to the one that's open, if that's what you've decided to do. So your clients aren't any different. You don't want to do that. So you need to have the same convenience level to maintain your loyalty that your clients have for you. Deliver what you say you're going to do, show how much you care, and manage those client expectations. Personalize it. Every client has their own unique requirements. They want empathy. They're going through something tough. And so the empathy and services is important. And finally, efficiency. They want those cost advantages. They know what technology can do for them, and they know what it should be doing for you. All right, talent and teamwork. So objectives, goals, performance, people need to know what to expect strategically, behaviorally, and performance-wise. So they need targeted objectives, task-based objectives, and learning objectives. Case management, practice management software can help you define those and provide those to them. Team satisfaction, it goes past task management though into being able to have cloud-based applications, video meetings, or automated time tracking, AI again on this list, dashboards so they see where they are, e-discovery to make their job easier, knowledge management so they can find things easier, e-filing services, virtual assistants again, and collaboration software. So where do you invest in your employees? Training, 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 more training, compensation,
Preach.
compensation. You know, people, when they do something, they want to cut this out. And this, you know, I remember one time I was talking to somebody and they said, you know, I really don't know that about this training. That seems like an awful lot of training, and that's a really big amount of money to do training. I'm like, well, you know, that contract you just signed for me, why don't you take all that money and go out in your yard and set it on fire? Because if you do not train your people how to use it, you are not going to get any type of return on that investment at all whatsoever. So
How would you feel about cutting out medical school for your surgeon or
yeah,
flight school for your pilot? Like
exactly.
these things get real important real fast. And just
Yeah.
because you're a law firm doesn't mean that that can be brushed aside. It's just as critical.
Right. Because if you need some information from your legal assistant or from your paralegal or from one of your associates and they don't know how to go find that for you, you're going to wish they'd been trained. Compensation, you need to make sure that you offer them salaries and perks and benefits. Collaboration, not just technologically, but in person, time with you for feedback and engagement is important. Rewards, both recognition at work, increases your firm's and your team's motivation and balance. That whole work-life balance is so important. It hasn't gone away. It's always been there. We have just now, as a society, placed it more in the forefront of our priorities as a whole, rather than in the background.
Did you see the news story last week from Wells Fargo? They fired a large percentage of their remote staff for using, and I did not know this term before, something called a mouse jiggler. Did you see this story?
No, I haven't, but I know what a mouse jiggler is. It's just something that sits there and acts like it's doing something when they're not doing anything.
Exactly. And I was astounded that they were fired for using a device that literally just makes it look like you're on your computer, not
Yeah,
accomplishing anything, not doing anything of note to help the company or the business, but just being present. And my thought was, shame on them. They don't have goals, they don't have objectives that are measurable. So
yeah,
what are you doing that you're focused on? Well, how many times did they move their mouse per
exactly.
hour? That's
Exactly.
not a metric of success.
It
You
is
need real
definitely not.
goals.
Agreed. Agreed. That's why you've got to have these goals and these objectives, and they've got to be laid out. They've got to be measurable and they've got to be achievable.
Exactly. So then, I honestly don't care if you manage to get it done in 10 minutes or 45 if I can say this is what I want accomplished and you did it.
Correct. Correct. Then I don't care if you're jiggling your mouse. So, all right, marketing and digital presence. So our marketing is so much different now. I remember when I started this business, we sent out postcards and we sent out brochures and we did, you know, everything via the mail. And now it's just not like that anymore. You know, we are still talking about our culture, and our culture is our brand. And your brand is your people, your story, your image, your experience, your purpose, and your passion. That is your brand. And that is the story that you need to tell in your marketing. But we're doing it so very differently today. We're going to networking events and conferences. We're managing things through a CRM. We should be, if we're not, we should be writing new content to post on our websites so that we get better search engine optimization by posting things like blogs, articles, and stories. and linking those also into our social media marketing strategy, and really honing in to build up those client employee referrals to build our business. We still have word of mouth, but we're trying to attract new clients in different ways today, and it's all electronic. The digital influencers really are shaping the way that we see things, and especially our younger generation on the 15-second TikToks and the reels on Instagram and now on Facebook, where people are looking at those.
And
And
it's easy to dismiss that stuff. It's easy to write it off as, it's a fad, it's teenagers, it's whatever, but
well, it's
it's
not.
a
I
reality.
have a lot of friends that are retired and they talk about the stuff they see on TikTok, and I'm like, go play golf. Go do something else besides be on TikTok, folks. So go breathe the air, be alive, get off the computer, get off the phone. But it is influencing how people are seeing things and how people are viewing our brands individually and collectively. So in the marketing world, you need to humanize your brand in a technological world, which is quite a challenge. Bringing that humanity in is definitely hard. But the website needs to be updated probably. If you haven't updated your website since 2019, it's probably time for a refresh. That should be done once about every 5 years at the minimum. And because that will also help people find you. That's what the search engine optimization does. You may want to retarget, your search engine marketing, YouTube, Google, LinkedIn, build that online presence, network, attend those conferences, talk to humans, especially if you're a virtual law firm or you do a lot of remote work. This is a good time for you to go out and do that peopling that you may not want to do so often these days. Write those articles, those blogs, and promote yourself. Gather reviews, testimonials, humanize your culture, write about your successes, post them on your website. That counts as new content too. The search engines gobble that up and will bring you to the forefront faster if you're constantly feeding it new content.
Nothing you've listed here is a task that is like, and done. I am finished that. This is all a process. It's an ongoing process that it never ends. It's something you should always be engaged in building and building and building.
Correct. And revising and revising and revising.
Yeah.
Editing, and updating.
All the things.
All the things. All right, so now we're getting into financial wellness and profitability. So when I sit down and I talk with my clients about profitability, first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to look at their financial statements. And if I can't figure out what they're doing, I sometimes wonder why. Why can
I
I not
love that.
figure out what's happening with your financial statements? But really, when it comes down to it, you're looking at a foundation of financial wellness, which means that you are responsible for keeping accurate accounting records. You should be working off of budgets, monitoring your cash flow, tracking your costs and controlling those costs, investing in your technology, and doing profitability and performance review of your internal team. Every attorney, every paralegal, every legal assistant, every secretary, every receptionist, every runner has a profitability level, and that should be reviewed and dealt with on a consistent basis for your own knowledge and also for the sake of them. Because one of the things that I have learned in my lifetime is that what we allow, we encourage. So if you allow lazy time tracking, you encourage that amongst not just that one person, but amongst all of the team who's watching how you're dealing with that lazy timekeeper and letting that slide. They're all paying attention to you. So it's really important that you do those performance reviews. And the other rule of thumb is that if I can't give somebody a raise at the end of the year, then I don't want them on my team anymore. So Financial reporting comes down to three main um, reports. The income statement, which shows you what is going on over the course of a year, a balance sheet, which gives you the firm's financial position, and the cash flow statement that shows you how much liquidity you have at any given time to be able to do investments and meet your financial obligations. Those three are the foundational financial reports that you should be looking at on a consistent basis. And the tools today and technology allow you to look at those in real time through dashboards and reports. And so if you're not looking at this until the end of the month, after your accountant or your bookkeeper has prepared those for you, then you are working behind the time as opposed to getting in front of anything that could be weird or out of balance in your firm. So, that's that whole reactive versus proactive reporting. You can get this information in real time today. You should not be looking at it 30 days behind. Your key performance indicators allow you to strategize, measure, innovate, and propagate. And what does that mean for you? Well, it means that what you measure gets managed. So if you're not looking at it, you don't know what's happening. And these law firm KPIs are lead tracking, referral attribution, how many referrals do you turn into matters, conversion rates, profitability, AR, work in process, collections realization, how many cases you have, client management satisfaction, billing rate realization. How are your attorneys busy enough, and are they profitable for you? And so now I am going to have the privilege of turning a little bit of this presentation over to Brian.
Thank you. And just one last comment on that previous slide. The KPIs are only important if you have actual objectives, if you have goals.
Yeah.
Anybody can just run the report and see, okay, that's the result of the report. Now I know the result of the report. But the real way that it's impactful is that you're setting targets for yourself, for your staff, for your different departments, for your firm as a whole. Then when you're running your reports, you know where you stand. Are you, ahead of the game and you need to up your goal a little bit, or are you behind and something needs to change? All right, sorry.
No, 1,000%. I was just watching the time and I wanted to give you enough.
Fair. It does go fast, doesn't it?
It does.
Laura and I met last week, and we were talking about the amount of content that we had, and I admitted that brevity is not a strong suit of mine. It's something I'm working on. So, with that in mind, give us the next slide. So, case management. This is where I live. This is where Assembly Software lives, and this is what I've been doing for a large percentage of my life. I live it and breathe it. And your case management or your practice management platform is the center of your law firm. It's sort of like your law firm's iPhone. Everything comes in and goes out through that. So it's absolutely critical that you have a case management platform that is the right fit for your firm and that is working together with your firm and everybody that's there. So when we're talking about features, and again, we can use your house and room metaphor, document assembly all day long. All day long, I got to be making documents, and it really should be, in this day and age, for any law firm, a click of a button. It should be, give me this kind of document, here you go, full stop, done. Project management, most law firms, and this comes in with task templates on the other side, most law firms are usually repeating the same things over and over again. So, okay, it's this kind of case, and when we have this kind of case, here are the 10 things that we do. Well, put that in your system. Make sure that those 10 things are accomplished each and every time. Nothing ever slips through the cracks, and any of those 10 items that can be automated, great. Automate them, and then your staff is only responsible for 7 or 6 or 5. Integrations, absolutely key. And honestly, this is one of the reasons that Neos was created from both Needles and TrialWorks, is the original on-prem systems. Great, powerful, Will always love needles, but in this day and age, it needs to be able to talk to just about anything else. So our integrations page in Neos, it just, I mean, you can just keep scrolling the wheel. We basically have an app store that allows you to tie in to all of those amazing things like client portals so that you can get the tools that you need for your law firm. Man, I could go on and on about every item here,
Mhm.
but know that all of this is part of the the package of options that Neos offers, including the artificial intelligence. And I'm just going to pick that one to kind of poke at because it's such the topic of the day. Artificial intelligence, just like anything else, is a tool, and it's a tool for you to utilize to the best benefit of both your firm and your clients. But it is not just a, hey, we have this for the sake of having it, because then it's not going to do anybody any good. Like any tool, you need to decide, okay, where am I going to utilize this? How is it going to be of benefit to my firm, my staff, and my clients? And then how can I implement it in a safe and productive manner? Just like we were talking about TikTok, people tend to blow this stuff off until the law firm across the street absolutely takes over because they're utilizing these tools that you've dismissed. AI is here to stay. Does ChatGPT have a law degree? No, it does not. Should you set it loose to start handling everything in your law firm? Absolutely not. But if you've got a case management platform that is integrated AI in a knowledgeable way, and you decide how you want to use this tool, I'm going to use this tool to summarize incoming documents so that instead of reading 40 pages, I can read 4 paragraphs and understand the gist of the document. This is a safe way to proceed.
Mhm.
Um, you also have to educate your staff on all of these. If you have a tool set like this, like Laura said, training, training, training. It's absolutely key. We really do like our rule of threes between us, don't we?
We do.
Um, if you're going to have these tools, your staff needs to know how to use them. And it's not just, hey, here's a hammer, go smack some stuff. No, this is a hammer, this is a nail, this is how you use it, this is how you use it safely, and you will see massive, massive returns and gains in productivity, in client satisfaction, and yes, financial as well by implementing a system like this in a thoughtful way. So let's jump to our next slide and talk about thoughtful. Oh, it's blanked out, but that's okay.
Oh,
Um,
no.
that's all right.
I'll just do, hang on just 1 minute, just so that
Well, I
they,
think our next slide anyway is demo
okay.
time.
Yeah,
So why don't we just skip forward one, and then I'll take it over from there. So uh, about geez, almost 15 years ago now. A friend, a client, a lawyer, very sharp lawyer down in Louisiana, was talking about reporting and how incredibly important it was to knowledgeably report on what's happening in your law firm and then take that information and act on it to the benefit of your law firm. I still love this photo. We were giggling for like 10 minutes once we put this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over the share. You've got to, this will stop. Okay, yeah. And we're going to want Neos here. And we should have Neos. That come up okay?
it did.
Awesome. So I have and can and will demonstrate Neos for hours. There's so much in this system, especially with the new artificial intelligence features. But I really want to narrow in on something very specific today. And it's in keeping with what Laura has shared with you. If we are going to build a system with intention, it is important to see our goal That we've mentioned that word multiple times, to see our goal, to see the end first, decide where we want to be, and then run towards it. So the example I'm going to provide you today is marketing ROI, return on investment for marketing. Many law firms just advertise. Okay, well, I guess I'll buy an ad here and I'll sponsor that podcast, and I drive past this billboard all the time, so I'm gonna buy that billboard, and cases seem to come in. Or they're hiring a marketing or ad agency to spend their money on their behalf and then come back and tell them how good a job they did spending your money. What I want to show you today is that you have the ability to track this information yourself for a true return on investment. So let's say I have advertising dollars. I am going to spend money on an ad campaign, and I want to know how successful that campaign is going to be for me. So the first thing that you're going to do is go and create a marketing campaign. So I've already done this in Neos, but the concept is the same, is you go in and you say, okay, I'm going to create an entry here. I'm going to create an entry for my Q1 2024 TV campaign. Okay. And how much money did I spend? I spent $100,000. So that's my investment. That's my money in. Okay. So now, when intakes come in, when my staff take calls or calls are coming in from our website or however, we're getting a variety of intakes, you're always going to be filling out this information. Who are you? What happened to you? How can we be of service? But it's so, so easy to put in a field that says, okay, where did this intake come from? Sometimes you might not get the answer, but you will not get the answer every time you don't ask the question. So if you ask the question, where did this come from? And if it's an online campaign, there's lots of automated ways to do this. And you train your staff to ask the question and say, okay, this intake, excuse me, this intake came from, I picked the wrong one, the Q1 2024 TV campaign. So I know that I spent $100,000 on the TV campaign. And then they'll work the intake. And if the intake becomes a case, then this piece of data is going to track you through to the case level. So now we know what we spent from a marketing perspective, right? We know how many intakes came in. Then we know how many of those intakes became cases. And of course, you are tracking the financial information associated with all your cases, right? Because you need to know what kind of return you're getting from your cases. So in Neos, that's called the value tab. And we understand all of the expenses associated with a case, including the final settlement, client disbursement, and attorney fee. So what does all that add up to? So I made a real simple one here. This is just a dashboard associated with this specific campaign. So easy. What was my initial spend on my 2024 TV campaign? It was $100,000. Okay. How many intakes did I get? I got 9 intakes. 9 of my intakes, I can draw a specific line from this spend to those intakes. And that's where a lot of law firms stop. I spent this money, I got those intakes. But no, follow the thread from start to finish, from beginning to end. How many of those intakes actually became cases? I've got 3 cases from this original spend, and then the big payoff, the return on investment. What was the total number of fees? How many dollars did I receive from this initial spend? I spent $100,000. I got 9 intakes, turned into 3 cases, and just shy of $250,000 worth of fees so far, because, this takes time to build. Now, this is all fake numbers in a fake database, but you get the concept that if you actually want to know this number, you've got to lead the target. You've got to plan in advance. You've got to say, okay, I'm going to want to know exactly how much I'm getting out of this original spend. So I'm going to put the spend in there. I'm going to teach my staff to track it on the intake standpoint. I'm going to make sure that all of my cases are in line and that I'm tracking all of my financials. And then I get the payoff at the end, which is true, actionable data here. I know that I spent $100,000 and I got 243. So now when I go to decide what I'm going to do with next quarter's marketing spend and the quarter after that and the quarter after that, I've been tracking all of them. And I know that this one led to this many dollars and that one led to this many dollars. And it's a very different circumstance when you have real data, real information to back up the decisions that you need to make for your law firm. And all of that doesn't just happen automatically. It needs to be done with intention. You got to have the proper tools. You got to have the proper goals, and you've got to teach your staff how to get you there. All right. That's what I wanted to show when it came to Neos, and I am stepping off my soapbox here, but you can see how passionate I am on that exact concept. The payoff is there if you put in the work.
Yep. Which then leads us, let me come back on camera and into one more time saying, whoop, there we go, that technology is an investment. It is not an expense. Because if you're looking for things like long-term growth potential, you have to measure that and work for it. Competitive advantage, improved efficiency, even security can be an ROI. You invest in it and you don't have to pay out to those hackers. So there's an investment for that. You're investing in the security of your clients, your reputation, all those things. Because the last thing you want is to have it get out that you guys got hacked. So it is important that you do that. Client engagement, cost savings, and future-proofing your firm are all reasons to invest. Before you do that, though, sometimes you have to step back and you have to figure out where you are and what is happening inside of your firm. And I have been working with firms to help them choose their technology now for 25 years, working with them. And here are some of the most common excuses I hear from firms as to why they don't want to update their technology. We've been doing it this way for years and we don't have any issues.
That one drives me crazy.
I know.
This is the way we've always done it. Like, well,
the
then you're always going to
it.
get what you've always got. You're never going to do any better than today.
Correct. We don't trust the cloud. Okay. I think that you shouldn't use a cell phone either. We are not tech savvy. I think that everybody is as tech savvy today as what they want to be. You can educate yourself. You can learn how to use a computer. My 92-year-old dad, who still works as a part-time accountant, can use a computer. So I give him cute kudos. If he can use a computer, anybody can use a computer. I can't use his computer because he's left-handed, but that doesn't mean he can't use his computer.
He's got the left-handed mouse.
He's got the left-handed mouse. I just get so confused. But we can't have our attorneys and staff out of the software that long, when we're talking about downtime. And we can't have that. And a typical response that I'll give them is I don't want to be out of my car either when I have places to go and I have to get the oil changed, but yet it still has to sit there. So we have to be able to allow ourselves the privilege of getting our data cleaned up and moved into that new house. If you're going to move houses, you have to let the moving people come in. You have to let them do their job. You got to pack up your stuff. You can't, it's going to be in a different space, in a different place, and you've got to give people the time to do that. We have all we need. We don't have enough time. We will lose our ability to collaborate. We don't know where to start. That's where I can help you. This just isn't the right time. There's no good time, but it is time if any of these things that we're talking about resonates with you at all, then I think it is the time, because you're in this webinar today or you're listening to this webinar today because you have an inkling in the back of your mind that it might be time. So what Circle Management can do for you is we do a lot of assessments. We start off with a process assessment. We work our way through all the way down to checking in with you after a migration is complete. But I do want to leave you before we open it up for questions, with just some final thoughts. Even in a busy practice, you need to commit the time to make the right decisions for your firm. They don't just happen automatically, and they don't happen, you know, just because. You have to work for them, and they can happen organically if you're working in the direction of increasing efficiency or profitability or productivity. But and technology can create a positive culture and a thriving business, but it does need human ingenuity. It can't do it alone. It will continue to further a law firm's potential, and it will force change. Technology forces change. Technology is never stagnant. So if you embrace technology, you have to also embrace change. Technology, culture, and strategic goals need to be aligned and integrated to build these sustainable firms in the workplaces of the future. All three of those things must happen. So we will open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Are you letting them put them in the Q&A, Brian?
Yes, but honestly, we have been so exhaustive up until this point. I haven't gotten specific questions yet. So if anybody would like to drop anything in, by all means. But I think that speaks to the completeness of the presentation
Awesome.
so far.
Good. All right. Then we'll just move forward. If you would like a demo of Assembly Neos, there's the website there. It's a great
Thank you.
product. I know it didn't completely come through, but
It's all right.
you'll get a one-on-one with a demo specialist, and you can see the product in action.
They will go a lot deeper than I did.
Yeah. And then if you attended this webinar and you would like to have a complimentary technology and process audit, please reach out. You can email, you can text, you can call, you can snail mail if you want to. But you do need to give us the code Future 2024. And that will be the code that lets me know that you were on this webinar today.
So I've got a question for you. If we're offering a complimentary technology and process audit, what does that look like?
Well, what that looks like is we will send you a series of surveys to fill out, and then I will meet with you one-on-one to go through my findings and kind of start pointing you in the right direction.
Nice. It's a perfect first step.
Perfect first step.
All right. Let's call it there. Laura, thank you so much for spending time with us today. This was fun.
It was fun, Brian. Thank you. And thank you for the interaction and the partnership in this webinar, because I think it's really great when you can get some dialogue going between the hosts, and it was just really wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So everybody, thank you so much for attending and spending some of your afternoon with us. We appreciate it. Recording will probably be shared out via Alessandra tomorrow. And again, thank you as always for joining our webinars.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the next one.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one, Laura.
You too. Bye, Brian.